Well, welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Kent Adams here. I hope you're having a good day and things are going the right direction for you, whether you be at home or work or wherever you might be watching this. An interesting guest and topic today. We Believe We Vote is an organization in town that kind of watches a number of things, but especially around the time of elections. And we're going to talk to the new executive director, just on board a couple of months, matter of fact, and about what the organization is doing, just to keep you informed right after this.
At Eastern Washington University, biologists are harnessing gut microbes to build stronger bees. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And geology joins forces with robotics to explore innovative solutions for climate change. An interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world, that's the new thing. It isn't a tagline, it's a philosophy wrapped in red and white. It is Eastern Washington and you.
Well, welcome back. We Believe We Vote has been participating with us over the last few years in terms of our Meet the Candidate series, and we've had a couple of the executive directors on in the past. And you were telling me before we started, Dale Whitaker, right?
Correct.
Let's get the name out there, just okay, so people know who it is I'm talking to. You joined the board last summer.
Yeah, toward the fall. So
Toward the
late
fall.
summer, August, September time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Peggy decides to retire.
Yeah, there was. She actually has moved out to Idaho now, and
okay.
so she resigned in November, shortly after the event, and I took over in December, an interim, and then it was made permanent in January.
All right, so the ink is
Still
permanent.
wet.
Permanent ink.
Well, it's still wet.
Oh,
It's still wet.
well,
But.
let's talk about you a little bit, and then we'll talk about the organization. What's your background?
Well, I actually grew up in England, in the UK, Northeast, Newcastle, an old coal miner town, and very working class,
Sure.
blue collar.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah,
right?
just very, I came from a very small village called Washington, which is actually the Washingtons, George Washington's family. Are from my town.
Oh, really?
Our town, Washington, Washington Village, are actually his parents' property.
Wow.
So they have something called Sulgrave Manor, is where his parents, the property that they owned, and they actually fled to the States because they were opposed to the monarchy at the time.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of heritage in my town, actually, my village where I'm from, regarding the history of America.
Yeah, no kidding. So you also do some tax work and accounting and so forth too.
Yeah, I have a small just tax practice, just me. I'm an enrolled agent, so I just help small businesses and individuals to.
Did you get everybody filed in time?
I have a few more to do, a few extensions, but I got 90% of them done.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I worked hard to get to wear both hats and to try and get my tax season out of the way so I can focus on We Believe We Vote going into the election cycle,
Right.
And also our fall event. Too,
Right,
so.
right. Well, this is going to be a big election year. I know a lot of people say, well, it's the presidential election year is when it counts. No, this is important. I mean, you look locally, we've got several races from prosecutor to now 5 county commissioners instead of 3. And usually there were 1 or 2 up at every couple of years.
Right.
And you start looking at all the state representatives and half the senators from the state. And even at the federal level, our state senator is running again, Patty Murray. And you start adding that up. It's going to be a big and busy year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, we spent a lot of time, the survey committee has spent a lot of time really getting to the heart of the issues that we're facing in the last few years across the board.
And what are some of those issues?
A lot of it is family rights, the rights to the families to educate their own children and direct their health care. and the imposition of local governments and school boards having an effect on that process and
Right.
getting involved in that process. In fact, there was just a case in Massachusetts, I believe, where a few parents have sued a school board
Yes.
for getting involved in these issues and withholding information about the discussions that were held with their kids. So that's a big one. And I mean, there's just so much that's happened over the last few years.
A couple of us were talking earlier today about we've given up in the last 20, 30 years as parents, and I say this as grandparents, but I say it as looking out to the public, that we've got a lot of two-family incomes. You know, mom and dad are working. If there's both mom and dad in a home, that's a whole nother issue, and so forth. And I think we've kind of turned our back on and forgotten that our primary role is our kids and their education and their upbringing. And so we kind of pushed off a lot of that, feed them at school and everything else. And I understand the need to do some of that, but I think it's come from both sides, both the teacher's side and from wanting to dictate more what's going on, but also from parents who have kind of given up, you know.
Well, a lot of it is immaturity and people having kids at a young age.
Yes.
You know, the issue is moral grounding and moral framework. So without a solid foundation, you cannot build a solid house. The Bible teaches if you build a house on sand, it will quickly wash away, paraphrasing. But if you build it on rock, it will stand.
Right.
And so without that base for an upbringing and the guidance from parents, then it's impossible to really raise a nation that is going to stand behind a certain set of core values and principles.
Right.
Especially when you have people that tell you that it's okay to not be married when you have children. It's okay to fornicate and do all these other things. I'm from a society that has taught that my whole life. I didn't know any different. That you know, immediate pleasure and immediate gratification is okay.
Yeah.
But it's destructive.
Yeah.
And
it shows up in drugs and everything else too.
Correct. And well, drugs, in my view, drugs are something that are used to mask a larger problem.
Right.
And that's the same for alcohol.
Right.
It could be a whole slew of things. People use work even as an escape to get away from their problems or dealing with who they are.
Right.
And so the education issue is a broader issue in the sense that it actually all comes back to where we are leading as a society.
Yeah.
And not just in America, but in the Western world.
Right.
And that's why you see a lot of children who are in and who come from a two-family home are at a much higher rate going to succeed over someone from a single-family home.
Yeah.
I came from my parents divorced when I was 6, and it was the most traumatic thing in my life. I didn't know what was happening, didn't understand it.
Right.
Suddenly there's a new man, and then it was chaos.
Yes.
And it wasn't until it wasn't in fact until I gave my heart to the Lord and I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, that I understood that a lot of the anger and resentment I held actually spanned back all that time to that event that pushed me into this trajectory where I was so angry at everything. And really what I was angry at were my parents.
Right.
And
how could they do this to you?
Well, and not even how can they do it, just not even understanding and you know, I am a true believer that the Lord writes morality into your heart at birth. I think everyone is born and we all know what morality is. At our core, we know. And that's why you have regret and you have anxieties and these things, because you perform an action and then you might not feel regret in the moment, but later you might think, well, maybe that wasn't the best thing for me to do.
Right.
And so I mean, it's everyone knows morality, but some choose to ignore it. And that's where I think drug abuse, alcohol abuse, using work as an escape, and just escapism in general, and
Right.
disengaging from society becomes a problem. But we have also allowed people to believe that that's okay.
Right, right. Well, we've legalized marijuana in this state and several others, and so on and so forth, and in effect legalized a lot of drugs because we don't arrest people for them anymore, and so we've really kind of taken down the wall, saying that you're not supposed to do that. Think about that before you do that. It's just okay, go do it.
Right.
Whatever you want to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, and instant gratification leads just to destruction.
Yeah.
In fact, you're given free will. We were given free will to freely love and to freely hate, if that's what you want to do. But you're given the choice to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Right.
But we're also given instruction on how we should live and
Yeah.
what we should be doing in certain circumstances, and not just and it's not just in a bottle. I mean, it's very broad and applicable to many life situations. It's timeless.
Tell us about We Believe, We Vote. So those who have heard about it, because we've been through a few elections and so forth in the past, but briefly describe what is the organization, what's your mission and objective?
So we produce every election cycle, every year. So we produce a voter guide
Okay.
that's available on our website. And we survey candidates, and the candidates have a choice to respond to our survey or not respond. And we take their responses to our surveys. We post them on our website, and the general public can use them. And we use our core beliefs and value statements from our website to determine how we align the scores.
Okay.
And our core beliefs and values are grounded in biblical and constitutional values and principles.
Okay.
So we try to look at everything and frame every question on the survey through a biblical lens.
Okay.
And for those issues that perhaps it's difficult to really discern, what position you would take, we look at it through a constitutional and a lawful lens.
Right.
But we really we really strive to be a biblical organization and look through everything through a biblical lens.
It's really primarily a volunteer-run organization. You're really the primary staff, aren't you?
Correct. I'm the only paid person at the organization.
Right.
And all the board are volunteer.
Right.
And we are a working board. The board work hard. Paula Cullen and Carolyn Jacobs on the survey committee have just been outstanding in their work this year. Paula Cullen really spearheaded that, and it's just been a fantastic experience and learning for me too, because I'm still growing.
Yeah.
And
We
so-
all are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
It doesn't stop at your age,
Right.
or even at almost 76. Okay.
Right.
We're
And-
always learning.
Yeah, exactly. And so the big thing, I have just learned a lot, and I'm growing and experiencing the fundamentals and really just trying to work for the Lord and just bring that light to government. I mean, that's really what we want to do. We don't want to cut anyone down. We don't want to make anyone look bad or anything like that. Our primary objective is, these are the candidates, these are our core beliefs and value statements, and if you believe in what we believe in as an organization, and you see the alignment, then it's a quick way for you to discern who to vote for.
Well, it's certainly a good part of for the right people to bring some knowledge to them, because so many of us are so busy with life and family and work and so forth. I've heard that name, but I don't really know anything about them. I remember voting for a couple of races, and the We Believe, We Vote is where I went, even though I probably had met them, but I didn't know what they really stood for. You
Right.
know what I mean? To go find out where they are on your scale and so forth, and a couple of other places too, but a way to go, okay, they don't believe that, or they do believe that. That tells me something. because I don't have the time to go around and spend an hour with every single person, and especially this year, because everybody and their ghost is going to be running for one office or another. This fall is going to be a busy fall.
It's gonna be it's gonna be very busy. And
Are you ready?
We are actually. I think we're doing good.
Good.
We're doing good. We just went live with our new website a few weeks ago. That's been one of the bigger projects I've worked on the last couple of months. We've revamped the voter guide. That is not live yet on the website, so it's just a holding page right now.
Right.
But the new voter guide system is going to make it very easy to navigate. Very easy for candidates to respond online instead of an old PDF format. So really trying to streamline things to be able to
Make it easier for everybody.
Just make it easy for everyone and make it easy for the user, the end user to see.
Well, let's face it. I mean, you come home from work, maybe both you and your husband or wife or whatever, and you've got soccer practice, you've got Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, you've got whatever is going on. And sometimes the average person doesn't have the time to do the research on candidates. But we need trusting places to go. Not always is the voter guide from the state the best place to go.
Right.
But
and the voter guide from the state serves a purpose. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely, it gives you a good background, a biography almost. But it doesn't tell you what the candidates stand for.
Right.
And that's really, truly what we tried to strive to do, is to show you what the candidates stand for. And we're not telling you what the candidate, they're telling you.
Yeah.
Because yes, we produce the survey. Yes, we produce the questions. Yes, we produce the scoring method.
They choose to or not to answer.
Correct.
Right.
And it's
How
not,
they answer.
we're not just geared up to, we're not geared up just to say we only want a Christian, or we only want a conservative, or we only want a Republican. We want everyone to respond.
Right.
And that's the thing that we are trying to really hone in on is, if you're a Democrat, just respond.
Yes.
Because it's important for you and your base even to know
Where you
stand.
Yeah.
So even if we disagree on issues, it's still a useful tool for you.
Yes.
And even though perhaps the users of our guide may not vote for you, it's still something you can point to and say, I have a track record of the things that I believe in.
Right.
You know, there's something to be said about people who will stand behind their foundational issues that drive their life, their political careers. And, for Christians, we have a Bible that lays out the framework of how we should live our lives. And we strive every day to live by that. And we always fall short. We will never live to the standard that has been set to us by God. And that's where his mercy and grace comes in. And so we just, by virtue, want to extend that to everyone and say, we don't have to agree on every issue.
You don't have to get an A+ or 100 on all the points.
Yeah, but be honest. Be honest about who you are. Yeah. Be honest about what you believe.
Right.
And be honest about the issues.
Right.
And where you stand on issues. And that's if you can't be honest, then everything else is for nothing.
Yeah.
And so we just really want to reiterate that we're not looking for or endorsing any particular candidate. We really want everyone to engage with us.
So toward the 3rd or 4th week of May, when you know who all the candidates are, out go the surveys to all of them and so forth. Mm-hmm. What kind of return do you usually get?
It varies. Last year, and it's interesting because there's kind of a correlation between voter turnout and the survey responses.
Okay.
So this year we're really hoping, especially with the commissioner positions.
Yes.
And the big changes in that area.
Yes.
For Spokane County, and we're really hoping that we get a huge turnout. And I'm going to work a little bit harder to reach across the aisle.
Okay.
And just welcome anyone from any political party. There's this idea and there's this projection of We Believe We Vote that we are an arm of the Republican Party, that we only support conservatives. It's absolutely not true.
Right. I've seen and I've looked up, as I said before, for certain candidates, and I go, that's kind of curious. Mm-hmm. The candidate must have said something that put them in that position to kind of get endorsed, if you will, or supported by We Believe.
Well, it's very clear that I need to be very clear that the alignment score isn't an endorsement of any candidate.
Right.
The alignment score is essentially saying the survey is this. They responded to the survey on this in this way, and we have a scoring method. We scored the candidate to the survey, and that's our alignment score. It's an objective method that we use. Now, you may say, well, the way you pose the question and the way that you guys phrase questions make it seem as though you are a Republican. It's like, but we aren't doing that. We aren't going out of our way to use Republican or GOP talking points. We're using biblical and constitutional values to come up with our questions. So if it happens to be that the Republican Party or GOP or even an independent party lines up with some or all or most of our survey questions, that's not our doing.
Right.
We're not going out of our way to make them feel okay with what we're doing. We are completely independent. So whether you're a Republican, Democrat, moderate, independent, whatever label you want to use for your political life, we want to engage with you.
Yeah.
We want you to respond and engage with us.
So where are people going to find all of this come? You're going to be 1st of June going through the process. So you'll be done by the 1st of July, I would suspect, as the primary starts to get out there.
Right. So historically, we would release the voter guide a few weeks before the election cycle. And it's just to give the candidates a chance to respond because they're busy.
Yes.
And we understand that they're busy. But at the same time, the sooner the candidates respond, if we can get a response or a non-response, like, hey, I'm choosing just not to respond, which is absolutely fine, then we can publish it sooner.
Right.
But it really, so 2 to 3 weeks before the election cycle would be the earliest, or I should say the latest.
Yeah.
But it could be earlier than that if we get a good response.
I know we're already scheduled to do our Meet the Candidate on the 13th and 14th of June. And we've got those times set, but there's nothing we can do until they close the filing system and so forth. And then that Monday, people can change and do a couple of things. And so anyway, we sit and we wait. We're at the mercy of county government and state government in terms of timing. But our purpose is always we always try, knock on wood, to get all of the programs that we've done, at least for the primary. Sometimes some that are just basically running for November, we'll wait and do them in September because it really doesn't count much, in the primary. But we try to have everything up and going just before, so that on Independence Day, they know they can go to the website and see them. And so that just kind of gives us a mark of, well, when will they be up? Because we'll always be asked that as people leave.
Right.
Independence Day, guaranteed. And people, honestly, with summer and everything else going on, they don't start to think about it until it gets to be just before ballot time anyway.
Well, some people the day of will email and say, where's the voter guide? Do you have the print version? You can just send me real quick.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. And, people, like you said, people are busy. Yeah. And we just want to build the foundation for people to be able to trust the product we provide.
Yeah.
And the product is that we are using the Bible and the Constitution to build a moral framework for people.
Hard to beat that.
Yeah, I mean,
really,
it's the foundation of everything, and we believe as an organization that if someone is morally grounded and they have biblical and constitutional values instilled in them, that they will be successful in their ability to legislate and their ability to be a judge or an attorney or whatever it may be. I always say, I used to think I was smart before I came to the Lord, but man, He opened my eyes and made me feel dumb because there's a whole lot I didn't know, and I still don't know.
It's a lifelong experience to learn more and more, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and it was an interesting one for me when I gave my heart to the Lord because He really lifted a veil from over my eyes.
Oh, really?
And really opened me up to being more welcoming of other ideas, more open to listening to someone and not being as, like I said, as angry and dismissive.
Yeah.
And
At least see the other person's perspective, even if you don't totally agree with it, but at least acknowledge that that has a place. It may be wrong in my
Right.
point of view, and we're all welcome to have our points of view, but at least respect the person.
well, and a lot of times we agree on the issue.
Right.
What we don't agree on is the solution, right? Or the process to getting to the solution.
Yeah.
And so,
That's so true.
yeah, so a lot of times, if we can just get through that initial
Yeah.
barrier of, just looking at what the person said about a particular issue, if we can get through that barrier and get people to the table to actually work together, rather than dismiss each other, label each other, and cut each other down based on what we think they believe, sit with them for an hour and just talk to them.
And unfortunately, these days, locally, nationally, and internationally, those on the far ends of the spectrum, both sides, are the ones that get the attention and the ones we hear. And they don't really represent the majority of people who are good people and want good things for their family, want their husband or wife to have a good job, want their kids to succeed. And I think that's what most of us agree on, but we never talk about that. We talk about some of the other things and so forth, and often in a shouting manner.
Right. And the less than 1% that have the loudest voice will drown out the other 99%.
Yeah.
I'm British, so I'm a big soccer fan, and
I've noticed the language. I've caught you a couple times. I've caught you, yes.
it comes out every now and then.
It does.
But it's akin to so in soccer, they don't do it in England much anymore, if ever. They bang drums.
Okay.
So you have one guy banging a drum, and you have 30,000 people shouting, but you hear the drum.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
There's one small segment of people banging a big drum.
Well, in the meantime, between now and when your guide gets out and so forth in June or July, where can people find your website? And are you on Facebook? How do people reach you?
Yeah, so we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Welcome to the digital age, right?
And so we're on all platforms. Right now, we're reevaluating, and we've scaled back a lot on our marketing and our social media.
Sure.
And we're looking at, we want to go in a slightly different direction than what we've done in the past. We really want to focus on education. So webelievewevote.com is the website, and there's voter resources there, church resources for pastors and congregations. And what we really are striving to do now, and we want to serve the community, and we want to serve the church community, and we want to serve candidates and give them equal opportunity to respond, equal opportunity to utilize the platform.
Good.
So we're not going to go to one candidate and give them any bonus platform over someone else.
Right.
So everyone will have the same equal opportunity given to them on our website with the survey and so on. But we really just feel like there's a rise in biblical citizenship right now and what it means to be a biblical citizen in the United States. And we really think that that's something that we're missing in society today, and that fundamental teaching.
Yeah.
And we really want to go in that direction. So we're working on some things in that regard. We're working on our church outreach to get the church involved, and just really working with the community at large on issues and giving them the resources they need to steward their citizenship, but also to steward it in a biblical manner and see things through a biblical lens.
So webelievewevote.com. Okay.
webelievewevote.com.
Easy to find, easy to remember. Dale, thank you very much. Best of luck to you now in what, your third month? Fourth month?
Fourth month.
Fourth month? Seems like 5, 6.
Yeah. It's
you're walking into a busy year.
yeah,
I mean,
and
there's no doubt about that.
well, yeah, and it is, and but it's good. It's good. God is good, and by His grace, we'll get through it. And we just, like I said, I would just reiterate, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, respond to our survey.
Yeah.
Come talk to us.
Yeah.
Engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your ideas, even if they're opposed to ours. We want to know who you are as a candidate.
Good. I like that. On that, we'll end. Thank you very much for coming in. And thank you for watching the Pulse of Spokane, everybody. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Parker with Hope Neighborhood Coffee Roasters. Hope is a student-led professional coffee production here at the Hunt Settlement. To promote cultural awareness through country of origin studies with coffee farmers worldwide. And third, provide a sustainable funding for the Hunt Settlement education program.
Hi, my name is Roxanne. Please join us to nurture and educate Hutton youth by becoming a monthly coffee subscriber. You can visit us by going to www.huttonsettlement.org and click on the About Us page. Thank you.